So I don't think I've been this excited for a movie in a long time. Probably the last time I've been excited for a movie was maybe Endgame or Across the Spider-Verse, one of those. 'Cause Dune 1, I'm a huge fan of Dune 1. I'm a huge fan of the Dune novel. So seeing part 2, I wasn't exactly like, oh, I wonder if it's gonna be good, like I was with almost every other movie I see. I was like, this is gonna be amazing. I was hyped. I waited 2.5 years for this. It got delayed several times due to the actor strike and yada yada yada. But it's finally here, and I saw it on Discount Tuesday because that's the only way I'm gonna see it in IMAX if it's Discount Tuesday. So I was gripped the entire time. This movie's 2 hours and 46 minutes long. Um, and yes, you could feel the length, but in a good way. It felt really epic. It felt like the whole story was able to be told. Some movies are very long, you could feel it. Some movies, they're too short, you're like, this could have been longer. This feels like it was a perfect pace. So, basically, the reason it works and the reason Dune 1 works is because they're fairly accurate to the Dune book. Unlike the David Lynch movie, and while I am a David Lynch fan, I don't exactly blame him. I blame the studio interference by cutting this like 600-page book down into a 2-hour movie. It's not the best idea. So I'm very glad that Denise was able to make it two movies instead of one. And I honestly, this is what Hollywood needs at the moment. Denis Villeneuve, proven track record. Prisoners was great. Blade Runner 2049 was great. So I honestly, the perfect choice to make these movies. And when you just give them creative control, which I feel like they have here, this feels like a very creative-driven movie rather than a studio-driven movie because they don't have all those cliches and like voidless money grabbing tendencies. It's just about telling a great story and showing it in a visually stunning way. This movie, like from a cinematic sense, it's great. I think it might revolutionize the fantasy cinema industry the same way Star Wars did in the 70s and 80s, the same way Lord of the Rings did in the early 2000s. I think these Dune movies are gonna be like the gold standard now. It's they got added to that list, so good job, guys. But yeah, like from a visual standpoint, it looks great. You can tell there's a lot of practical effects because there's not that many like CGI scenes where you're like, oh, that was bad CGI. Because when they use CGI, they use it sparingly and it looks good. I think a lot of modern blockbuster movies use too much CGI. Well, it just looks like this big blob of mess. So a lot of people talked about how shocking the ending was. Now I read the book, so I wasn't exactly shocked, but I want you guys to let me know down in the comments if you were shocked by the ending for those who haven't read the book, because it's a great ending. But I wasn't personally shocked because I knew it was gonna happen. The movie exemplifies the book's tragicness of Paul as a character because he's not he's not the Messiah people think he is. He's a false prophet planted over generations by the Bene Gesserit, and the book kind of explains the problems with worshiping this false god. Because now look, we got a holy war upon us. Dune 3 is gonna be nuts. Um, so it's a very gray on gray morality here. Well, more on gray on black because the Harkonnens are kind of just straight up evil. But the Paul and Jessica aren't exactly like knights in shining armor either. Speaking of that, I love the relationship between Paul and Chani. It feels very real. While in the book, Chani was a good character. I feel like he also gets a lot more agency and more of a character. While in the books, he was just love interest. Here, so he gets an actual character arc. So that's nice. Christopher Walken is memorable as the Emperor, despite being in it for a few minutes. He sets like a he's such a commanding actor that like when he is in it, the attention's on him. Austin Butler is a great Freud author. He has this like primal animal sense to him. He just loves killing. Very dangerous man. He's he's played really well, and I like how Austin Butler kind of made his voice sound like Stellan Skarsgård a bit. That was a nice touch. Skarsgård was great as the Baron as well. There's some minor changes to the book. Like in the book, Aaliyah's already born by the time the book ends. She's like 2 or 4 or something. While in the movie, Jessica's pregnant with her the entire time. So there's like a little things I can nitpick here and there, but you know, it's more accurate than like 90% of adaptations anyway. And the stuff they did get right, they got they got the main stuff right. So I'm not gonna nitpick it. Yeah, this is one of those movies where the entire cast is good. Timothy Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Zendaya, Austin Butler, Christopher Walken, everybody. Thanos was in it. Roland, I forgot Thanos' name in real life. Just such a great cast, great directing. If I was gonna nitpick something, it would be the soundtrack. Now, some of the soundtrack is good, but sometimes it goes a little too Hans Zimmer, with just a bunch of soundscapes. It gets a little obnoxious. It's kind of a habit Hans Zimmer does, which makes me think he's a bit of an overrated musician. I don't like throwing shade, but not exactly my favorite composer. I'm surprised I didn't have to go pee watching a movie because usually when a movie's longer than 2.5 hours, I have to walk out, use the bathroom, come back. But luckily that didn't happen. I guess I was just so engrossed in the movie, like I couldn't look away. I was like, it's one of those, like Better Call Saul was, where you can't look away the entire time. It was like that too. So yeah, all in all, I think Dune's Part One and especially Part Two. I think Part Two is even better than Part One, and that's saying that as somebody who liked Part One a lot. It's This is like The Empire Strikes Back. I think that's what Christopher Nolan said about this movie, which is high praise coming from Nolan. So yeah, I love Dune 2. It's definitely a modern fantasy classic. Not really sci-fi because like there's magic in the book, so I consider it more fantasy. But yeah, I can't wait for Dune 3, though I hope it's going to be several years because Denise plans a few non-Dune movies in between, which is good. I don't want him to like burn himself out making these movies. That's a problem I hope James Cameron doesn't have because he's planning on making like 5 Avatar movies in a row, and I feel like it's going to burn himself out if he doesn't do other movies and stuff. But I'm Dune is better than Avatar. That's like an easy one. So I don't know. Um, Let me know down in the comments what you thought of this movie. Did you see it in IMAX? Because normally like I'm not a stickler for IMAX versus regular movie theater, but with these movies, they're so like cinematically gorgeous. I kind of had to see it in IMAX. So let me know if like that experience changed anything. And yeah, I don't know. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of Dune 2. Were you surprised by the ending? What do you think's gonna happen in Dune 3? Because despite owning Dune Messiah for 3 years, I never got around to reading it. I don't know why. It just kind of been sitting here. So, do you think I would enjoy Dune Messiah? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.